And we are live.
Hello.
Hi.
Another week, another read along.
Welcome back to Black Prose Club. Book Club. Black Prose Book Club.
That's right. Where Black lives, Black books, and Black writers have always mattered.
Even when they're trying to ban us all out of existence.
Oh, God, that just got dark.
Sorry. It's been a day, man. I'm trying to conjure up happy thoughts, but right now my brain is just like, my God.
I feel like I've just gotten so used to bad news daily that I'm just like, okay.
I think I'm just
tonight?
going to, I'll just preface, just expect this to be me for the next couple of months until I get used to the new normal.
Yes.
And then I'll be back to being extra chipper. But right now I'm mentally exhausted. I'm escaping in video games more than reading right now. So
yeah, it's been very, very hard for me to read. This is probably one of the longest reading slumps I've had in over a decade.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad we're doing the reading sprints, because it's kind of giving me this
It
set
is.
time every week where it's like I might not read the rest of the week, but I'm gonna read for this. So
Absolutely. It's much needed because I've been reading a long time, like consistently. So
that's really crazy.
I know it's a little strange.
Boggling.
So we're going to go ahead and get started because we kind of want to dive in and we don't want to waste too much time. So tonight's format is we're going to start with one 45-minute reading sprint. I know last time we did a few, but this time we're just going to do one 45 minutes straight through. So we'll put a little sign if we can, if you're joining us late, to know that we're in the middle of the sprint. And then after 45 minutes, we will discuss. And this is week 2. So we are discussing chapters 8 through 14.
Through 15. It's 7 chapters a week.
Okay. Yeah. So
that goes from 93 Days a Widow to 17 Cycles to Zygera.
Okay. So we are discussing chapters 8 through 15. And we will discuss them after the reading sprint. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now.
Enjoy.
So we are stopping the sprint early because the chapters were just really short and really quick, and we want to get to the discussion.
I no longer want a glupin.
Girl, the way she was like, oh, addiction like it was, she went from being like, no one can take this away from me, da, 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 to like giving it up and then going through straight up withdrawals.
Yeah, the like, I mean, we obviously realized that it was
A drug.
a drug. We do, but like
The part where it was
wasn't-
like, oh, it was creating, what was it doing? It was like
it was creating hallucinations.
no, but it was doing what was doing to her body. It was like
Oh,
microorganisms.
it was a symbiotic relationship where it was
That's,
basically
that
like
was crazy.
attaching itself to her body.
That is
That was wild.
That part was like, I was like, well, this went so left.
And
so
that's what she was
fast.
withdrawing from, because wasn't she like throwing up like orange stuff or whatever?
Yeah, because it attaches to your lungs.
That shit was wild.
Which Ted
I was
said,
like, see, it wasn't good.
well, I mean, in James's defense, he did tell her, like, listen, don't be all up in this.
I feel bad because I feel like James definitely gave her the rundown when she got on the ship, and she just didn't hear any of it because she was so deep in grief.
Yeah. Like, he gave her all of the warning signs. And in the beginning of the book, she said she heard nothing that man said. And I was like,
not a word.
Now look at you, puking up orange stuff.
Which is ridiculous. She could have just asked him to repeat it.
Something,
well,
you know?
I know. She was literally like, well, you didn't tell me. He's like, yes, I did. And then she's like, but the ship. And he's like, I told you that too. And then she's like, but this. And he's like, no, we discussed it.
Yeah, he was like, this is not my fault. This is 100% you. He was
I
like,
love
I
how,
actually
like,
set you up for success, and now look at you.
Right. And I love how, like, in her clarity, it's so interesting because I'm starting to realize that everything that we read up until her detox, we were reading through the mind of an addicted person.
We were reading through the mind of an addicted, grieving person.
Yes, because now all of a sudden she's like, oh, everyone on the ship doesn't hate me, and they aren't looking at me with hatred and disdain, and they're not ignoring me, and like, oh, I made that all up in my mind.
Which didn't they say that last week? I was just like, does everyone hate her, or is she just not paying attention?
You did say that, because I was ready to like fight on her behalf. Like, that's not right. She's grieving. Why are they being so mean? And then she was like, they weren't. I was just, high. And depressed. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I was like, dang, yo, grief had you thinking the whole ship hated you? That is crazy rough.
The biggest turnaround is Ziggy.
Or, yeah, the cyborg.
And how they're like good friends now.
I don't even think it's good friends. I think it's literally just like he's too logical for the stuff that she was doing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, now that you finally got it together, like, I can help you now.
It does bring an interesting perspective because he was so matter of fact about his tragic past. He was just like, yeah, and they took out my eyes, and I had to get fake ones, and yep. Like,
yes, like he's just very, it was very like, he's very straight to the point. Like, we don't actually need feelings, we can just state facts, which is why I think he and Pia don't get along.
Yeah, poor Pia, she got left behind.
Listen, why give me Pia in the first 7 chapters and then in the next 7 chapters
take her away?
Like, have Pia thinking that like you hate, like that the main character hates her now. I was like, dang.
I know.
Granted, Pia was totally help serving your addiction, 1000%. But she was 15.
I know, but like Pia definitely gives like misery loves company.
Oh, true. I am waiting for the reveal that Pia is Xavier's kid. I am waiting for that for some reason.
You think so?
I don't know why, but like Pia is very specific with the things that she says. Like, she's like, he's the only one that's ever cared about me. He's the only one that ever cared about
But
my
are they even the
dreams.
same like species? Are they from the same planet?
Oh, see, that part I don't know
Yeah,
because I still don't know what species Xavier is.
same.
So not quite sure on that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like every once in a while we'll get a description, like when she was talking about the triplets,
Yes.
and all of a sudden she was like, she has blue skin, and I was like, wait, hold on, and an
Yeah,
antenna.
I was like, didn't you introduce the triplets? And then I was like, oh no, she was high.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's almost like having an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, basically.
Definitely. Because she
Because
was high for like 70% of the book. I'm like, okay.
yeah, she was high up until like page 70. And I was like, dang, you've been high a long time.
And now we got to start over because now she's like actually bonding somewhat with the people on the ship. She's, or at least talking to them and socializing with them and
Also,
learning about the ship.
I realized that the ship is like the description of the ship makes a lot more sense now too. Because
Now the ship
now it's
is
not.
high.
Yeah, because like I was like, dang, was the description of the ship high too? Because now all of a sudden the command room where where the like panel and stuff, like it looks like a normal like ship command room now.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
And I was like,
I do love the tie-in with the title or the
mhm.
reveler or the title of the ship. She finally gets it. Like now that she's not high, she's like, oh, that's why
Yeah,
the ship is called the Reveler.
I was like,
But
wow, sis, you had to hallucinate your dead husband to get it together. That's crazy.
that part was actually really sad and
I
kind of
can't
made
imagine losing my
me tear
partner,
up.
but that I felt that very intensely.
And then you're like so down and out that they actually appear to you in a hallucination and tell you to get your shit together.
Right. I was like, he didn't even come back sympathetic. He came back like, if you gonna do all this, just tell him to take you back to Earth and jump in the ground with me.
That was
What?
crazy. Yeah.
He really said be fucking for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was like, now is your
Wait.
chance to go see the stars. I don't know what the fuck you're doing right now, but this is not it. I was like,
Wait,
oh.
last week when we had a conversation, I was literally just like, I don't really understand why she got on the ship. Like, why didn't she just stay home and cry? Like, I didn't get it.
Right?
Well, her dead husband told her the same thing.
Yeah, he was like, this is not it. I was just like, wow.
I was like, the fact that your hallucination came back and gathered you is crazy. He's not real, sis. You
No.
hallucinated your husband who's dead to drag you.
Mhm.
Because that's essentially what he did.
Yeah, it's like, but I also like how it's kind of like a hallucination, but at the same time, who's to say it wasn't her dead husband?
I mean, that's
Coming back.
also facts because we don't really know how they operate. We
Mm-mm.
don't know much about the aliens at all. Like we've
No.
gotten no real information about what makes them alien other than being told they're
From other
aliens.
planets.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm very curious about like all the different species that are on the ship because everyone's obviously not from the same planet. And
mhm.
I'm very curious to know about the system that they have going on because they mentioned, she talk about the hyper highway or hyper something?
They're in the known universe, and their hyper highway is essentially like hyperdrive in Star Wars, is my guess.
I'm curious to know more about that because when she was like, we're light years from Earth now, and how there's no time in space, and time is a social construct. And so we don't really know, there's no way to measure like how long it's been because you could say 93 days, but what does that mean if we're like light years away? We could be like a million years away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So I want to know more about that. And then for me, every time I picture a spaceship or watch like a sci-fi show, everyone's always in suits on the ship. Like they're
Oh my
not in
gosh. You want
like
to know
their
if they're in
normal
uniform?
clothes. Huh?
You want to know if they're in uniform?
Well, yeah, because I want to know, like, are they in like space suits or are they just walking around normal clothes? Like, I
But I'm
want the
like, they're
full.
aliens. Do they need spacesuits?
I don't know. I need to know because on Star Trek they do.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Because
I
how
have
are
no
they dealing
rebuttal
with
to
the
that.
gravity thing? Is it like we know the goal pin things help?
Yes, the white
I just
ones.
I just need to know more. Like in order for me to fully flesh out the world and like what's happening, I have a lot of questions and I just want to know more.
I agree. I also feel like I need to know more. I feel like it's not even like it, well, right now it feels like I'm still reading the intro to a book.
Mm.
Um it feels like I'm reading the intro to it. And Jerry, it actually is a sci-fi book. It's very much sci-fi. But
Yes, very.
at the moment it's still very much giving me intro. Um and I kind of feel like usually novellas kind of give you like it's a novella because it's like the condensed story, so you're supposed to kind of get more by the point where we are in the book.
Yes.
So because I have so many questions where I'm not able to fully visualize the world that or the known universe that this exists in, I kind of wish that this wasn't a novella. I kind of wish that this was a full-size book.
I feel the same
Um
way. To be
like
fair,
so
she
that
is
we could
writing
have
a
had more
second
details.
one. She is writing a second one, right? To be fair.
Yeah, I think she's writing the second one already, but I would have preferred this instead of being a novella to be like a full-size sci-fi book. That way, not only could we understand like the known universe, because they mentioned the known universe and then like not being in the known universe. I would
Yes.
like to understand that better. I think if we had a full-size book, we'd understand the dynamic of the ship by now.
That's true.
And we would have gotten more descriptions about the characters and the actual aliens, so it would have really helped with the visualization. But
Yes.
because it's a novella, it's like you have to skip some of these like moments
Very much
to push
so.
the story. And I'm realizing like, dang, the book is only like 90 something pages.
Mm-hmm.
And like visually, I'm not visualizing it. And with sci-fi books, I can visualize pretty well normally.
Yeah.
So
We need
but
more
I am glad
descriptors.
that she's not high anymore, so that now I'm
She's
getting accurate descriptions of things, so it's
Yes,
really
she's not
helped
an
me.
unreliable narrator anymore.
Yeah, I was like, I had no idea that this girl was that loopy.
Yes, she was high as a kite. But
Yeah.
the switch that flipped when she was in the command center and then she looked at the chair that Xavier was supposed to be in and after she had been like, where are we going? And then James was like, where do you want to go? And then she looked at that captain's chair and the flip or the switch that flipped from like not knowing to just like rage and being like, we need to hunt down his killer. Like that switch was like instant.
I have been okay, so because we know the premise of the book, I have legit been reading this, waiting. So I'm like, I understand she's grieving. I understand she's like her husband died or whatever. But like, when are we gonna acknowledge that his death
Was a
wasn't just a
murder?
freak accident? Like it was an actual murder. Like I was like, what are we gonna get here? Because yes, sis was high as a kite. Therefore, the story felt stagnant because she was actually stagnant, which is interesting. Because I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever read a sci-fi book where like we are moving at the pace of the main character like
The
this.
emotional pace of
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read a sci-fi book like that before. So this is also a very interesting experience in this regard. But yeah, now that I'm like, oh, okay. And now we're at the point where it feels like if this was I can only relate this to movies and shows. If this was a movie or a show, this would be a montage.
Oh, very much so.
And it would be like her in the cockpit with James learning about how the ship drives and things like that.
Yes, it would totally be a montage. And her training with Siggy.
Yeah, and then even the part where Pia made her I can't pronounce the site is the
I
site
kept trying to picture that weapon because apparently it was described as a
I have it
black.
highlighted because I was like, I'm gonna try to draw this weapon. Hold on.
We have to talk about this. Okay, so you read the highlight.
Okay, hold on. Cause I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I
we
was like,
gotta talk about it because I kept trying
Tia, we
to
love you.
visualize it and like the mechanics of it since it's supposed to be also a bracelet.
Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. I've highlighted a couple of other things in here that I want to try to draw. Like I want to try to draw the triplets because that's the first clear description I've gotten. So
The triplets and the
okay.
fact that they're not actually triplets, they're just three young
Yeah,
women
the
from
fact that
James.
they're not actually triplets actually sent me. I was like, girl, put the drugs down. Okay, it says it was a beautiful black staff with a hidden blade on the end that curved, morphing it into a scythe with a simple twist of my hands. It was lightweight and broke down into 4 parts that could shrink and bend to clasp around my wrist like an unassuming bracelet.
Like, that's so crazy.
My visual cannot grasp it because on one hand, my mind went straight to Sailor. My mind went to straight to what Sailor. Dang, what's the purple sailor from the outer Senshi?
Venus? Jupiter?
No. Venus
Sailor
and
Scouts?
Jupiter are inner Senshi. We're gonna Sailor Moon you after this as well, because girl.
Like, you talking about Sailor
I was reading a text message from my sister and I just heard planets. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about?
Sailor Moon.
I said the purple outer Senshi, and Oshale was like, I know none of this. I'm just gonna name all the planets.
I'm just gonna start naming all the Sailor Scouts.
Love you, Oshale.
Oh my god.
That's all I can picture.
Neptune. There we go. Sailor Neptune has a scythe. And hers kind of curves. Hers has a curved blade at the top. Well, it's 2 pieces of a blade, but still, I was like, my brain is not comprehending like how this works. But also, it's space, so I need to stop trying to take things like super literal. Like, plenty of weapons and sci-fi things like shrink down to like wearable jewelry.
They do. Like, the technology is so advanced.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay.
I feel like the biggest twist in that whole scenario was that Pia made it.
No, because Pia makes the weapons and Siggy makes the shields.
I didn't see that coming. I was like,
it's the way that we're constantly being told that Pia and Ziggy and Siggy are opposites.
Yes.
Like, for some reason they have to exist together, but like they don't like each other. And I'm like, there's
definitely a story there.
Yeah. And I'm just shocked that Ziggy didn't just be like, because he was like, yeah, she's mad at you because you're not self-wallowing like she is. What, sir, please?
That was such a read. And the way that she was just like, yeah, and I had nothing to add to that because that's true.
Yeah, I was like, Pia didn't deserve that. She's 15.
She's a kid, yeah, I know. But I think that when you're a kid that's like making weapons and basically existing in this adult space and having like a job on a spaceship, there are like certain lines that are blurred.
Yes.
I think because they often forget that she's just a child. You know?
Yeah. Which is why I'm calling it. The reveal that she is related to her deceased husband is coming. Like, it just doesn't make sense that she's the only one that we truly understand the mental state of.
I'm very curious to know if this is going to be true or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm convinced.
Really?
Yeah.
We shall see. We probably won't see now, but maybe in book 2.
That is
true. Because I think we're about to be done in like 4 chapters, right? There's only 19 chapters.
Yeah, but to say next week we'll be done.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's why I said I wish this book was longer.
Same.
I feel like I'd be able to connect with it more. I feel like I don't get a chance to really connect because it's so short and there's so much information that we have to absorb to keep the story going.
I know. And
but
now she's finally on like the whole vengeance path, and I'm very curious to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see, because clearly we're just going to get the origin. Like, this, oh my God, this totally reminds me of anime, where like the first season of Adventure, like with the Purpose anime, there's always like the first couple episodes are usually like long drawn out moments because something devastating happened to the main character. And like in the process of the main character like going through this, they always have some type of like training montage or something that like strengthens them, and then they start the adventure. But while they're doing all of this, we also get introduced to like their sidekicks, to like the people that'll be going with them on the adventure. This officially gives
cool.
that
You
vibe.
kind of just explained every shonen on Earth.
I did, because every shonen follows this particular formula. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
true.
like that is shonen formula 101. It's like, because we've already picked our favorites as far as like the side characters.
Wait, oh, don't
The
say that.
problem is though, it's a
You
book,
pick
so
your-
like
no. See, the problem is if you pick a favorite in shonens, they
they
automatically
die.
like they're
Yes,
not gonna
but it's the same way in books. It's like I don't even want to say I have a favorite character because
No, they're gonna
I'm
get killed off.
scared. They're gonna
Yeah.
get killed. That's just how it happens.
It is how it happens. It's so annoying.
It's like my
But
heart
on
would be
that
gone
note,
and I don't want to read it. Mm-hmm.
on that note, we are gonna wrap things up for the evening.
Yeah.
Because we pretty much hit all of the talking points that happened within these last chapters that we were supposed to read. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we didn't touch on.
Nope, those are
But I
pretty
think-
short.
Yeah, they were short chapters, and we're getting close to the end. So join us next week for our final reading sprint and book discussion, where we'll be talking about the last chapters 16 through 19. What is that, 3 chapters?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
really
Lord.
short. But also keep a lookout on our Instagram, because we're going to be posting a poll, because we are back to the voting system and I'm determined to beat Oshale in this poll. And I'm not going to mark who put which book in the poll. I'm going to leave that blank like we always do, but I am determined that this year we're going to read more of my picks than Oshale's picks.
And by this, what we mean, I don't think we've really talked about it yet, is we are setting up for our March read. So we will explain it more probably next week on here, because the reading sprint will be short and the book discussion will be short. So we'll go into more detail, but essentially we are going back to our old formula of reading one book a quarter, and we are going back to giving y'all an opportunity to vote for which book we're going to read. Now, we're not going to do that every time. We're going to do that every other time. So sometimes we'll pick the book, and then when the months that we don't pick the book, we will put up a poll with several options that y'all can vote for. So more information on that coming up soon.
Miss WOC Reader said, can the audience suggest a pick?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be very helpful, because
that would be very helpful, because
you
the way
see our group chats where we're like, what are we picking? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Also, these polls will be going up both on Goodreads and Storygraph. So you can vote on either reading platform, and we're probably going to post the poll at some point next week and give y'all a good amount of time to vote, like maybe like a week to vote. But we'll talk about this more next week.
Yep.
But that is it for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for reading with us. And we hope to see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.